What's up, guys? Today I'm going to share with you my entire Chanel collection, which is not huge by any means, especially compared to some people on the internet, but it's definitely enough for me. I'm also going to share with you some of the reasons why I don't ever plan to buy any more Chanel again. And this video is going to help keep me accountable to that, so you can quote me. And so the first reason why I will not buy any more Chanel is because of the obvious, which is the price. It is just way too much for what it is. I thought it was super expensive 4 or 5 years ago when I first bought my first Chanel, or even 6 years ago, and it is just outrageous now. And it's just not worth it to me. And especially for the leathers, because some of the lambskin leathers in particular are just so delicate, and if it ever gets to a point where you're afraid to use your bags because you don't want to ruin it, then it becomes a non-functional bag. And unless you're a collector in the true sense of a collector and you don't mind them sitting on a shelf, then that's one thing, but that's not me. I like to use my bags. And so there are a couple of bags where I do feel like I'm a little bit more conscious of it when I wear them, because I don't want to ruin the leathers because it's so delicate. So that's another reason. And going back to the prices, the price hikes that have been happening several times a year is just outrageous to me. So it becomes unaffordable, and so it's just not worth it to me anymore. And that's just not where I want to spend money. The next reason why I will not buy Chanel again is because of the service and the experience. I can tell you the last time I purchased a Chanel bag was in October. And when you're spending that much money on a bag, I was with my girlfriends and I was there for probably 45 minutes to an hour altogether. And I had dinner plans, so it's not like I had all the time in the world to just hang around in the store and just look and waste time. I had to be somewhere. And so I was trying to be as efficient as possible, but I also wanted to think through exactly what I wanted to get and make sure I was 100%. The woman who was serving me was so impatient. And again, I was not there for more than 45 minutes to an hour between start and finish of being served. And I don't think that's a terribly long amount of time, especially in a Chanel boutique. So it was just so strange to me because I could tell her impatience and her tone with me was very short. And she, at one point when I was still looking through with the bag, she was like, "So how do you want to pay?" I'm like, I'm still looking at the bag. So it just seems incredibly short and rude that's kind of what she said. "How do you want to pay?" And at some point I was looking at it and she, I was like, "Oh, it's such a delicate lambskin." She's like, "It's not lamb, it's calf." I'm like, "No, it's lambskin." And I didn't want to argue with her because what's the point? But she was trying to just get the sale done in my mind, or at least that's how it felt like, that I was like, I don't know, I was just super annoyed. And then there was another point in the process of me deciding. I said, "Well, I just want to call my husband and I want to get his blessing." And she started laughing and she was like, "Oh, you mean Santa Claus?" And I'm like, "Bitch, I'm buying this bag by myself with my own money." So I just thought that was so presumptuous and so rude. And again, I wasn't going to get into it with her about who was paying for the bag, but basically my point in saying that I wanted to call my husband to get his blessing was because it's a big purchase, and out of respect, that's just what we tend to do in our relationship, is when there's a big purchase, we just want to make sure the other person is in the loop. That's simply all I was saying. I wasn't saying, let me call my husband so that he can be my sugar daddy. And, and even if it were the case, that's not appropriate for her to judge or make any sort of comment like that. So That really annoyed me. And you would think that at that point you'd be like, just walk away, don't give her the sale. But I had been eyeing this bag for a while, and there was just a couple of niggles on it that I wasn't expecting when I actually saw it in person, and that's why I had to think it through a little bit longer than I had expected to. But again, a 45-minute sale process for such an expensive item is not crazy in my mind. And I know people take even longer to make those kinds of decisions. I'm not saying that customer service across all Chanels are like that. It's certainly not, and it varies from person to person and boutique to boutique. But that is not an atypical experience for some people or for many people. And so I kind of walked away. I bought the bag and I was really excited, but I kind of walked away and I was like, that wasn't such a fun experience. When you spend that much money and it's supposed to be a really nice, pleasant experience, I just walked away and I was just like, I just didn't enjoy that at all. And that kind of leads me into the next reason, which is, you just don't know which store is gonna have a bag that you want. And so if I was sure that this bag was readily available at any boutique, at any Chanel, then I would have just walked away from that store and said, I'm not giving you the sale, and bought it elsewhere. But the way that they do things is such that you just don't know. Like, if you find the bag, you got to get it, because you're not going to find it anywhere else, chances are, at least. And so that's kind of like the scarcity tactic really does work, unfortunately. I know some people really love the hunt, and I can understand that, especially on the pre-loved market. That's like fun. I can understand that, but it's not fun when you're going on a hunt for a bag just in retail. So that's just my opinion. So I don't know if any of these resonate with you. If it does, then I'd love to hear some of your stories. But let's get into the more fun part of the video, which is my entire Chanel collection. So my entire Chanel collection is not huge at all. I've got an SLG and I've got 2 brooches and a handful of bags. So we'll start with the smaller items. So the first one that I have is this Chanel brooch. It's a small size. This also at the time came in a larger size, which I loved. I was kind of between sizes. I wasn't sure which one to get, and I ended up getting the small one. I wish I got the bigger one because I feel like it stands out more. But I liked this because it was just it's gold. Gold is my color. But it was also, it had a little bit of glitz in it, but also some of the quilting pattern on the metal, which I liked. And I'm kind of a grandma at heart. I love brooches and I do wear them. So this I loved. And because I regretted not getting the bigger one, several years later I'd been, looking for a much larger one. And so I got this one. So this is much larger and it's nice on a coat or a blazer. And this one has the faux pearls. I know a lot of people don't like having any of pearls or crystals or any of those embellishments on it because it can fall out. Luckily, I haven't had any problems with that, and I'm hoping I don't have any problems with it, but I do love it. So I just thought this was such a great one. So this is the second one. And the next item that I have from Chanel is my only SLG, which is this reissue O case. And I think they come in a few sizes. This is the small. I got this one from New York. Obviously, it says New York, so it's like a special edition one. And on the inside it says Chanel, 57th Street, New York, made in Italy. The reason I got this is because I am from New York, so this was very sentimental to me. I grew up there, and I don't live there anymore, but I grew up there, went to school there, had my first couple of corporate jobs there. So that was important to me and just kind of special. So that's why I got this one. And now for the handbags, I will go from any order, I guess. Actually, I'll go with my first Chanel bag. So my first Chanel bag is the classic. This has the felt in it, but this is the classic medium gold hardware caviar leather. And I love this bag. It's just such a, as you know, a classic Chanel bag. Everyone and their mother has it, but I don't know, it's just such a beautiful classic bag. Like, I'm an old lady at heart, and I will wear this when I'm 70 years old. God willing, I'm still living then. But this is such a great bag. I know a lot of people complain that the strap is too short, but for me, it feels like a good length. It's a little bit short for sure, but it kind of gives off a cool look in my opinion. So I really love this. And it's not greatest in terms of capacity. The double flap is a little bit annoying. But that's what makes it kind of cool. Like, how many bags do you have that has a double flap? Like, for me, that's the only one. So that's the first one. Then the second bag I think I got was this Chanel Rectangular Mini. This is, again, I've spoken about this in my most and least used handbags. This was under my least in the last year because it's such a delicate bag. It's so gorgeous. The color is so versatile, very neutral. This I got in like 2016 or 17 or something like that. And the lambskin is just so delicate. I have conditioned this to make it a little bit more supple feeling. It felt a little dry and it turned out beautifully, and I'm not afraid to do that. I know some people are not into that, but this is a great bag that I need to put back in my rotation. But the strap is a little bit too long for me. The next bag that I got after that was my Chanel Trendy CC in this navy blue with the, oh my God. Oh my God, what kind of quilting is this? I'm drawing a blank. I'll put it on the screen. I'm just drawing a blank. Anyway, this is the ultimate grandma bag, and I love it. This was part of the earlier editions, so this has the straps where it is removable. I know they changed the T-bar into a circle essentially so that you can't, so this one you can take out and remove the strap. But I know the newer ones don't do that anymore. So I actually prefer the versatility of being able to remove the strap. I've never had a problem with it just popping out when I'm wearing it. So this is like the ultimate grandma bag. Chevron quilting. Okay, so this is the ultimate grandma bag and I freaking love it. The reason why I love it is because it's so similar to the layout of a push-up Matisse, and I love the push-up Matisse. It's such a functional bag. This is also functional. This is a lot more sophisticated than the push-up Matisse, and so I use it for different occasions, and it doesn't compete with the push-up Matisse. At first, I thought this bar here that says Chanel, I thought it was tacky at first. And then you just start drinking the Chanel Kool-Aid and then you're like, oh, it's actually pretty cool. And I really like it. So I do like it. I know it's tacky, but I so love this and it's super functional. And this is lambskin. They only come in lambskin as far as I know. This is not as delicate as my mini, but I do have to take care of it because there is stitching here of the double CCs. The stitching, when I bought it, imprinted the CCs on this leather here because it had been closed for so long. You can see a little bit of indentation, but that's why I put the felt there. And when I bought it, the salesperson, who was so lovely actually, she had just given me a heads up. She's like, you're not gonna want this. This has like the stitching indented, the CC all over here. And I was like, oh man. And they didn't have any, of course, it was the last one in the country, and I couldn't get it any other way, and this is the one I had my heart set on. So she actually sent it to the internal Chanel spa and had it taken care of for free, obviously. She took care of it before she sold it to me, and then she sent it to me. So it was such a great experience, and I was super grateful. But it taught me to always put your felt in when you're storing it and not using it, so that it doesn't happen again. The next bag that I got after that was my Chanel 19. I got this in the start of the pandemic. This is a green. I know sometimes it comes off as blue, but it's like a bluish green. This is such a great wearable, multifunctional, just practical bag that I freaking love so much. Green is my color, and it's the best. Capacity, this is the size small. The Trendy CC, by the way, is also size small. I know they come in a medium and large. I don't know if they still do, but that was the small. This is also the small. It's such a smushy bag. Also lambskin, but just not nearly as sensitive as my mini. And so I'm not afraid to use this one. In fact, I use this a lot, and I just love it. I don't like buying duplicates of a bag, but at one point I did consider, do I need this in another color? And I talked myself out of it because it just is too expensive to buy in another color, but also then they just start to compete, and I don't like doing that. So this is this Chanel 19. I love the gold hardware. I love the different color hardware on it. And so you can wear it with different types of hardware. You know, if you're wearing jewelry or clothes with hardware, if you're particular about that, but it just makes it super wearable. So I love that. And then the last bag that I have is the Chanel Mini Square, but this is I think it's called the Cocoa Crush. It's either called the Cocoa Crush or the Pearl Crush. I get confused. This is the bag that I was talking about that I bought in the fall, where the lady was like, how are you gonna pay? Oh, Santa Claus is buying it for you? Anyway, this is called, they call this light orange, but this is like a real melony, salmony, coral color. And coral, I just love coral colors. It's like the perfect mix between a pink and an orange. I hate orange, but pink and orange that make coral, to me, is just so beautiful. And I love it with the gold antique hardware. I love that combination. I'm definitely a gold hardware girl, but the reason I was not sure about it, even though I was so sure about the color, that was no question to me. The reason I had to think about it so long and hard was because when I felt it, it was so delicate. The leather, this lambskin, is so delicate. It felt even a little bit dry. So in fact, what I did was, when I brought it home, I took a leather conditioner and I moisturized the entire bag, and it feels so much better, so much more supple than when it did when I first bought it. So that's number one, and I figured, okay, I could fix that myself. But the other reason was because it's the Cocoa Crush or Pearl Crush or whatever it's called. And you would think in theory this is a much better bag because it's adjustable. It's an adjustable strap, which is amazing. But it just looks a little unfinished. And I'll show you why. This tail, like if if this happens to be the perfect height for me for a crossbody. So just this amount of tail hanging does not bother me. However, if you wanted to wear this as a shoulder bag, then you would press the button, and it does get a little kinked up. It's not amazing, but okay, we're there. So if you wanted to use this as a shoulder bag, let's say, it has this huge tail. What am I gonna do with this? That to me looks so unfinished that it's like, if there was a way to loop it or do something with it that was aesthetically more pleasing, then that would be one thing, but this is not cute. This looks very unfinished, and it's like, it just hangs and swings. So I wouldn't use it as a shoulder bag with this hanging like that. I would only use it if it was a lot shorter, like I had showed you. So this I can deal with. This amount of tail I can handle, but the other one, it was like, no. So anyway, that's really why I was hemming and hawing about it, because I was like, I'm not sure about this. And in the end, obviously, I got it, love it. This color is everything to me. I'm not one to repeat silhouettes of bags, so I would never get another square or rectangle or trendy CC or whatever. I feel like I have all the silhouettes that I love from Chanel, so no need. I mean, how many quilted medium bags do you need? I know a lot of people collect the different colors, and that's fun. I just don't need 10 of these in 10 different colors. To me, that just competes against each other, and I don't like doing that, because then that just means some of my bags will be neglected. So I feel like I have all the silhouettes that I love and would want from what Chanel makes. I'm not interested in the Coco handle. I feel like that handle looks like one of those bars from the pool, like, you know when the stairs on a pool, when you're trying to get out of the pool on the deep end, it looks like that, or a handicap bar, from a public restroom or something. That's what that reminds me of. It's not aesthetically pleasing on a handbag, so I just don't have any interest in that kind of bag. But and all the other silhouettes, I'm not really that into that. I feel any pull for any of them, but this is plenty. I feel super privileged to even have this, and so that's why I just don't feel the need to get another Chanel bag. So keep me accountable. I just don't think it'll happen. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider binge watching some of my other videos on my playlist, and I'll see you next time. Bye.